Welcome back to Media Week. Well, now let's have a check on the media sector's performance on the share market this week with Evan Lucas from IG.
It's been a very quiet week in the media week for us here over in the stock market. It hasn't really seen any major changes into the big players. I think the main thing to talk about probably is what's happened at Seven West Media. We have obviously seen a bit of a shake-up at that top end. Got a new CFO on Tuesday. We obviously saw David Borman taking over from the long-standing David Lewis. The market quite liked it. It's a good coup to pick up the CFO from Vodafone here in Australia to get them across to Seven West Media. The market quite liked it. It jumped up about 2.8% on Tuesday, probably also following up the fact the market had a really strong day to finish April. So maybe the pull-up in Seven West Media was because of that, but they did quite like his appointment. Today, on the other hand, we've obviously seen John Alexander appointed to the board, and on the open after the announcement, the share price actually dropped almost 2%. Wasn't overly impressed. He's a reasonable candidate, but obviously the market's not so sure. It's sort of steadied out now, and it's back up about 1.3%. That's basically the main sort of stories out of the media sector this week. Obviously, next week we'll be watching News Corp. Particularly, there are a few results out over in the US, and that will be the most important thing.
All right, let's get some more on the news in the sector this week with our guest host, James Manning. Now, James, we heard Evan Lucas there talk about that big move at Seven West Media. John Alexander, has he worked with Stokes before, and what kind of expertise do you think he'll bring to the table?
Yeah, look, I think he's good news for Seven shareholders. Definitely, they'll have his expertise on tap on the board. He spent a bit of time with Stokes and his son when they were board members at Cons Media before Cons Media divested its, if you like, its media assets, sold it back to Foxtel. So yeah, they do get on. Being traditional foes though, so it's interesting if there's any, people might be speculating, gee, is there anything going on behind the scenes here? Because he's, very been deep in the Packer camp over the years. Of course, arch enemies of Stokes for a long time. There's sort of been some sort of coming together of the ways, but expertise. Alexander's got, of course, running the magazines, the ACP magazines business, now of course owned by Bauer Media. So, Seven's got their Pacific arm, so he'll be great to run his eyes over the numbers they're doing there. And of course, all his time with the newspaper business too. Seven West's got the West Australian big newspaper in successful newspaper business, and Alexander, his time was editing the Sydney Morning Herald and AFR, so there's lots for him to do.
A good move from your perspective?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Now, Zenith Optomedia, they've updated their ad spend in terms of their forecast this year, looking at growth of 2.3%.
Yeah, it's sort of good news overall for the market, but they're not seeing any moves away from what we're traditionally seeing, the newspaper sector and magazines, so print's still going to be doing it tough. They're saying about down about 13% maybe, or 13% last year, still be double-digit declines in the print sector this year. Right. Internet will be up a lot, so that's still going to be a good area though. So they're not seeing any changes that other forecasters aren't, with TV and radio generally pretty flat this year.
Now, I saw a story earlier this week about the New York Times doing well from its digital growth, and Fairfax CEO Greg Hywood has been in New York as well, talking up their journey from print to digital.
Yeah, absolutely. It's but you get a feeling the foot's come off the pedal a little bit in their transition from print to digital, because they just can't get those revenues. So they're still saying, look, that's our path, but when they'll get there, I think they're less certain about when they'll get there. They'll certainly be, continue to mine the print assets for as long as they can, which is still a massive generator in advertising revenue for them.
So it's still full steam ahead on that path, though, as you said. They're not. Well,
yeah, but I think they'll be very careful how they transition that existing audience, because they'll still want to maximise the eyeballs. There's been a big pullback, I think, in sort of the investment in tablet apps, and to people, it's still a journey people are making, and there's still no clear path about where they'll end up. So just be taking it a little easier perhaps than they have been.
Greg Hywood does talk about audiences, but it's about monetising those audiences.
Oh, absolutely. It's easy to get those audiences, but it's hard to get the money off them.
Now, another company, Bauer Media, they brought down Kelly Osbourne to Australia to help relaunch Clio. How did that go?
It sort of went okay, but they didn't get a lot of great press out of it. In fact, most of the press they got was reasonably negative, especially she had a bit of she ran in with the host, was hosted at Star, the Sydney Casino, the star there. She stayed there, had a bit of a run-in with security. That got a big play on social media and in the newspapers, if you like. And she had a run-in with one of the News Limited journalists, and it sort of went a bit pear-shaped after that. So I think she's going to be good for the magazine, but the sort of surrounding publicity certainly wasn't all positive this week.
Do you think that surrounding publicity was intentional or designed to elicit a response?
I guess you could say any publicity is good publicity, but I think the message of she was here for Clio magazine got a little bit lost there.
Now let's talk sports. Fox Sports talking about their new miniature camera technology.
Yeah, they're just the Globecast is the company they work with there, and the Globecam's the actual product, and they were just talking it up this week, saying how well they've done with that. I think it was technology that's been used a lot in the V8s, the supercars here. You see those little cameras mounted in all different parts of the car, and they've sort of imported that into a lot of their football codes. And the referee in the NRL's wearing it, the goal umpire in the AFL has now got a camera in their hat. So they were just explaining how successful that technology's been, and they've adapted it for lots of other sports.
Excellent. Now, talking about V8s, James Warburton, he seems to be linked to this CEO role continually, and there has been a departure there as well.
Yeah, we speculated on that a couple of weeks ago. David Malone, the existing CEO, seems to be going to stay and be a member of the board, but it seems to have firmed. The appointment could be happening in a little over a week, maybe 10 days away. We're yet to sort of see how Seven's going to feel about that. Of course, former employer of James Warburton, they fell out big time. There was a big court case about, and a lot of sort of inner workings of the company were revealed there. How will they be able to sit down at the table and negotiate with him? Yeah, yet to remains to be seen.
Yeah, okay. Keep our eye on that one.
Sure.
All right, well, coming up on Media Week, we'll take a look at the week's free-to-air and subscription TV ratings.